Hey everybody, it is great to be back with you all again. It's the morning briefing right here on the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel. It's great to be back with you all, and there is some absolutely tremendous fishing going on right now. You know, on the San Diego Instagram page, they put something to the effect that we're so blessed to live in an area where there is fishing like we are currently having, and they hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is some of the best fishing you could ever imagine. The kelp paddies are loaded up with magnificent fishing. And then some of the areas out here, out around Santa Barbara Island, are loaded up with tremendous bluefin tuna fishing. The Navigante had just an awesome trip. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Out of Redondo Sportfishing, and several other boats are in on it. Man, it is absolutely fantastic. Hey, let me tune you up because there's some confusion about where to find our charter list. Just look in the show description here on this YouTube channel for the morning briefing, and you'll see a list of our charters. If that's not good enough, just send me a text. You can send me a text. I'll text you back the charter list. We have two here in August the 19th on the Malihini out of H&M Landing in San Diego. That's a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. trip. That's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see Travis Bright and all the guys who continue to join us on those Malihini trips. They're always a lot of fun, and right now, it's off the hook. It's going to be a great one. That's Friday, August the 19th. And then August the 31st, we're taking off on what promises to be an absolutely mind-boggling good trip on board the Amigo. Can't wait to do that out of 22nd Street Landing. 2-day trip. That's going to be a good one. 657-227-6459, and just send me a text. Tell me you want the charter list. I'll pop it right out to you. Perhaps you can join us on one of those great trips. Boy, I'll tell you, things are absolutely wonderful. As usual, I'll start south the border down there in Ensenada. Let you know that the Pongueros down there are finding incredible fishing on the kelp paddies, and I'm so happy for them. They work so hard. They're such great guys. It's so much fun to drive across the border and go down to any number of great operations they have down there. And man, they are all over. They are still, however, getting bluefin tuna, trolling around with Mad Mac lures, and that has been just a magnificent way to catch some anywhere from 20 to up there around 150-pound bluefin tuna. Absolutely incredible. Who was it? It was Brian Burrell, who decks on the Monte Carlo, who said, we have long-range size fish right in our own backyard. And I know you've heard that for the past several years, but someday this is all going to be gone, and you're going to pine back to those days wondering when it might all happen again. It's truly a blessing, and it's going on down there in Ensenada. That is great. So let's talk about kelp paddy fishing now. San Diego-based boats are getting in on it. LA Orange County-based boats are getting in on it. It is phenomenal right now. And some of the flatheads that are on the kelps are nice big ones. We see some big fish on the Fury, the Thunderbird, the Amigo. Really gorgeous, gorgeous fish. Yellows are, there's that 5-pound grade of fish on the kelps, but there's a lot of that 8 to 12-pound, 15, 20-pound fish. It really has been a superior grade of yellowtail on the kelps this year. How do you catch them? Man, I'll tell you, it's been insane on many of these stops. I'll still say fluorocarbon. I like fluoro. We like www.optionusa.com. Put in FA at checkout. You'll get a handwritten note and a free gift from my friend Greg Brown. 30 to 40 pound. There's been times when they're biting the 50 and above. It gets so crazy. A good hot bait. I'm talking in general because sometimes the bite is so voracious that some of those things are irrelevant. You can fish straight mono. You can take a bait off the deck and throw it out there and get a bite. But let's just keep our game intact. Continue to do those things right, so when the season gets a little tougher or you hit a kelp that's not producing that well, you're still in the habit of fishing fluoro, of going to a really good hot bait. If you do that, it'll make all the difference in the world to you. Poppers have been effective. Throwing the iron, surface iron on these kelps has been effective. It has been really, really good. Maui, great guy. He was on the Amigo on a day-and-a-half trip. Sent me some photos of a recent Damian Barranco charter. By the way, Damian works at 22nd Street and he puts on these charters. I watch him interact with people there at the docks. He takes such good care of his people. He does such a great job. You might want to think about joining Damien on a charter really, really soon. Anyway, Maui said it was off the hook good this latest day and a half trip on board the Amigo. Great yellowtail fishing, lots of Dorado, beautiful calm seas. Maui said it was absolutely phenomenal. The San Diego, and I'm jumping from area to area because we're all fishing in the same area. The San Diego, really great fishing on their latest trip. 2 bluefin, 2 yellowfin, 28 Dorado, 104 yellowtail. How can it get any better than that? A veritable cornucopia of different species out there right now. It is truly amazing fishing that is going on. Thunderbird, 102 yellowtail, 27 Dorado, including some really big, nice fish. The Pride was fishing the bluefin area, and he was just raving about how impressive the amount of fish the bluefin were. And much of that is going on around Santa Barbara Island. It really looks good out there in that neck of the woods, which takes me to the Navigante, who had a 2-day trip out of Redondo. Wow. I mean, I don't know how I can get much better than this. 41 bluefin tuna, 15 of those BFTs over 100 pounds. Long-range fishing in our own backyard, as Brian Burrell said, and a 215-pounder to boot. That is just magnificent fishing, and they have more trips coming up. They've been doing real well. Santa Barbara is right in their crosshairs, so keep that in mind, my friends. That is what I call some great fishing. Overnight trips out of 22nd Street, the Freedom got a piece of it. 22 yellows, 8 Dorado on board the Freedom. They may switch to a few day-and-a-half trips, and that fish should flow this way. Should continue to move up. By the time we get into late August, September, it may very well be all over here, biting very, very well. And I should clarify that statement because it is all over here in terms of Dorado and yellows and kelps. It's not biting all that well, but you do come up with some occasional good hits. But that biting fish down there by the border is going to really start to move up and start to turn on. We've got that south swell. We've got all that push. It's just that time of the year when we get our best weather months, and it should continue to get good. Other San Diego-based boats, tremendous fishing. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. boats all over the yellows and the Dorado. The overnight fleet all over the fish. It's just flat, wide open, and there's a lot of yellowfin tuna, and most of it seems to be like that, I want to say 5 to 10 pound, smaller grade, but there's a lot of it. There's a little bit of bigger grade mixed in, and it's moving this way, and it's starting to bite better and better. It hasn't turned on quite yet, but it's starting to head in the right direction, both in terms of the direction, actual direction moving this way, and both in terms of the direction of the intensity of the bite. It's starting to turn on a little bit better. We haven't seen it really start to go, but that should become part of what happens here in SoCal and Northern Baja in the coming weeks. It should get really, really good. Jolene Thompson, who did a great podcast right here with us not too long ago. Jolene, you've got all my very best. She sent some great photos along of a girl that her name is Shannon, and she caught her first bluefin tuna on the Producer. This was a while ago. Her husband did the same, and I should mention Shannon is hearing impaired, so she's out there enjoying fishing with Jolene and having such a great time. Incidentally, the husband and Shannon, there was only 7 fish on the Producer that day. They had a really great score. Anyway, they're all getting together tonight on board the Producer for an all-girls trip. They're kicking the husband out of this one, and they're going to have some fun. I can't wait to hear all about her exploits on that trip. So really great fishing. A variety of tackle is necessary. If you have heavy stuff, by all means bring it. On most of these kelp paddy trips, you're not going to get to it, okay? It's mostly, the yellows, the Dorado. You can use normal gear now for guys that don't have all that expensive heavy gear. This is all for you. The door is open. You'll be able to take advantage of this. But however, the Navigante on that big fish, you're definitely going to want to have some of that heavy tackle. Daiwa 2 speeds with 100-pound, 130-pound. Certainly sage advice to all of you. You don't want to bump into a school of that stuff and not have the right tackle. So keep that in mind, my friends. All right, man, it's really, really good. But let's talk islands. Down there, Todos Santos Island, barracuda, some really good calico bass fishing off Ensenada, and more yellowtail pushed into Todos now. There's also fish south of there, down at Santo Tomas. That's looking pretty good. Moving you up to Coronado Islands, all about conditions, but there's been some good yellowtail fishing there. Not that many guys are fishing the Coronado Islands right now for obvious reasons. The kelps are right there. They're loaded up. You can get so done so fast on those kelps. And the grade of fish, the grade over there at the Coronado Islands is great. It's 15 to 20 pound fish, even bigger than that. But on the kelps, nothing to scoff at. Some really magnificent fishing going on. San Clemente Island, not many guys are looking at it, but you know, the same thing, sea lion problem, and many yellowtail that get chewed up by those sea lions. You can pick off a few yellows, good calico bass fishing around there in the back, China Point, several other areas, also in the front, producing very good fishing also. At Catalina Island, it's been a really tough season overall at Cap, but the weather's gorgeous. You can get over there and catch some calico bass, mostly shorts, but if you work at it, you can even get a limit of calico bass. Gale Forrest and some other guys doing pretty well. In addition to that, there's a good mix. There's barracuda, bonita, few yellowtail, but not wide open. It's just been that kind of a year so far. However, guys are still playing back and forth from the island, whether you're on board the Enterprise, whether you're on board the Pursuit, the Native Son, whoever you're with, you've got a shot at some kelp paddy yellowtail, kelp paddy dorado, and bluefin tuna. In fact, the Pursuit yesterday had a couple of bluefin, 4 yellowtail, some rockfish at Catalina Island. It's not wide open, it's very difficult, but one of these days you gotta think that light switch is gonna go on and it's gonna be very good. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Santa Barbara Island, there's even a few sea bass being taken out there, but the Osborne Bank back behind there is loaded up with big bluefin tuna, long range kind of fishing going on the Osborne right now. It is tremendous. That's where you need this stuff. You need to have 2-speed Daiwas out there to make that happen. They're big and tough. As I mentioned, Navigante had 15 over 100 pounds. That is phenomenal. And they had a 200-pound fish. Pete June, who was on the Amigo the other day, he said they had a couple 200-pounders out there in that area. So really good. Nicholas, a few sea bass out there. And then Channel Islands up there in that neck of the woods, still catching some sea bass, copious amounts of rockfish, a little bit of barracuda out at the islands. Sometimes that even gets good, a few yellowtail, halibut. Not bad up there. They've had just phenomenal fishing. I should mention to you that the weather is going to be an issue this weekend. Not that it's going to shut fishing down, but it's going to get way too windy in some places. Down on the kelps, you should be okay, but it's going to be breezy this weekend. And certainly, like Santa Barbara Island is going to become way more difficult, and so is San Nicolas Island, if anybody's out there in that neck of the woods. That's the forecast change, but I like to keep you up to date with all of that also. Along the coast, we are seeing a little bit of barracuda here and there. Our coastal bite this year has been pretty darn lame, actually. At times, we've seen some spurts of glory, but for the most part, it's been tough. Down there around University Point off Ensenada, barracuda there, calico bass fishing great around La Bufadora and the Punta area. Up there in San Diego, the local boats are fishing a little bit of sand bass and calico bass, rockfish, sculpin, and an occasional shot of barracuda, even a yellow now and again. Dana Point area, really a lot of calico bass, but a lot of shorts, but good action. I mean, you're catching fish, returning fish to the sea. It's been a lot of fun in that neck of the woods. And don't forget, all of these areas have kelps that are holding. Some of the fish are biting better in some areas than other areas, but it's all gonna come together. I can feel it, just like I can feel that beautiful warm sun poking out from the clouds. It's gonna really heat up along our coast. Here in the LA Orange County area, there's a little bit of barracuda. At times it pops up and bites. Conditions have been vacillating from poor to okay. When they get to the okay stage, we start catching more and more bass. This is for the sport boats. Private boaters have been doing pretty darn well on sand and calico bass throughout this region. Up there in the bay, Santa Monica Bay, we see some really good rock fishing, occasional halibut, occasional sea bass, and calico and sand bass also biting, especially if you go to fluorocarbon and drop the mono or drop the fluoro down to 15 fishing bass, you'll do really good. Up there in the Channel Islands, Ventura Sportfishing, Cody Rogers on the Island Spirit keeps poking away at the bass and the barracuda, and when they don't bite, he gets lots of rockfish. Incidentally, Ventura Sportfishing, the California half-day boat up there is the old Matt Walsh and Cody on the Island Spirit. 805-676-3474. Give them a call today. But I don't know what to say. It is as good as it could possibly get, and it is biting full speed on the kelps again here this morning. We've already heard word that they are chewing up a storm, and that is good news. And that bite out there on Osborne and other areas, wherever you encounter that bluefin tuna, that's settling, that's biting. It's big, it's long-range size fish in our own backyard. To quote Brian Burrell one more time again, it is really, really good. All right, everybody, charter list. You want it? Send me a text. We've got very few spaces left, and the best fishing is right in front of us. It's going to be one heck of a fall. 657-227-6459. Thanks so much for making us so strong, for tuning into our live broadcast, for following us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. We deeply appreciate you building our stats and building the foundation for Friedman Adventures on firm, strong structure. All right, everybody, have a great one. Thanks again. I'll see you very, very soon.